Whether you grew up in a two-parent, single-parent, blended, adoptive, or foster home, it is impossible to deny the impact and impression your family left on you as a child. For example, when we talk about the things that shaped us as adults, we often begin with the people that were primarily responsible for our raising and well-being. When we talk about those things, we often start by talking about the home that we grew up in. We do this because this is the way that God designed it to work and function. God designed the family to be the first and most foundational unit of society. The family is our first introduction to the idea of community, and it's often the place where we begin to define and identify ourselves. Families are the means by which mankind multiplies and subdues the earth. And families are the place designed and intended to be that place where we are nourished and cared for. It is God's purpose and plan for the family and for everyone in the family to experience love and care and nourishment and protection. And this is so important to the heart of God that He commands His people in His Word to draw in those without families. So the widow, the orphan, the foreigner, the outcast. So it would make sense that when God speaks about the institutions and the persons primarily responsible for the spiritual nourishment, development, and discipleship of children, He speaks primarily of parents and the home. Shouldn't the place that is so central to our development and our understanding of self also be the place that is central to our understanding of God, our Creator who made us? For example, in the scriptures, specifically Ephesians chapter 6, Paul gives instructions to the family. And first he speaks to children. He says, "Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is good and right." And Mom and Dad, we know this passage back and forwards, but if we continue, he also gives specific instruction to parents. And he says this, he says, "Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord." And so the command and the call to parents, particularly fathers, as they take on the servant leadership role within the house, is to raise their children up in the discipline and instruction of the Lord, the ways and the teachings of Jesus. And so we see in passages like this clear and explicit proof of God's good design for the transmission of the passing on of faith from one generation to the next through the heartfelt efforts of parents in the home. Now, as a parent, you may or will already have felt your own inadequacies when it comes to your understanding of God and His Word, or even your ability to teach as you begin to disciple your own children. But our hope is that you would set your mind on the promises of God and His abilities, not your feelings of inadequacy because of your own abilities. Family discipleship is difficult for everyone, and your family isn't the only family that will experience bumps along the way. But as you do this, many of us will begin to see faith sparked in the lives of our children through these intentional efforts. So parents, be relentless in praying to the Lord for His movement in your family, because He is the one who saves and sanctifies us.